Thank you so much. You guys have been so hospitable and so kind. And there's just such a great energy in this building, in this room. I think you're going to change some things for the better. I can tell. As I was putting together this talk on hope, somebody is being very naughty today. Oh, um, I realized that, the temptation for people is always to look the word up in the dictionary. And I think that is the worst, hokiest way to put a talk together. But I did look up hope, and it seemed pretty relevant what I saw. A feeling of expectation and desire for certain things to happen. A person or a thing that may help or save someone, and grounds for believing that something good may happen. Miracle messages provided all of those things for me at one time or another. And the gratitude that I feel is absolutely incredible. I had a pretty normal life growing up. I have a college degree. I've owned houses. I've had, a few too many husbands, and I have three beautiful children. But Kevin brought up, all it takes is one disaster, one bad relationship, one thing to go off whack, and suddenly you find yourself unhoused. Um, I was unhoused for about 8.5 years off and on, and it started when I was in my 60s. So I'm going to be 70 next year. It's a very hard thing when you're completely unaccustomed to it and you're starting to get old and you've got disabilities and health problems, and I wouldn't recommend it, frankly. I um, I think there are lots of times throughout my life that I felt hopeful. The births of my children, you hope everything goes well. You hope they have a great life. You hope you can make them happy. You hope they'll always be around. Um, that was one of the biggest things for me. But as you get older, the stakes keep getting higher and higher. It's very hard. I only had to sleep on the street one night, and that was really tough. It's a good thing to be in San Francisco because they have probably the best care and options for people who are unhoused of any city in the country. But all of a sudden, I felt myself almost giving up hope that I would be housed, that I would be happy, that I would have friends when it was over. 3 or 4 of my very close friends, one of them I've known my whole life, essentially broke up with me when I became homeless. They tell you, oh, you're making bad choices, and then they don't want to have anything to do with you, even if you've never asked them for anything except, a conversation once in a while. Um, I have to say that one of the most hopeful things is that I have been lucky enough to have service dogs all through this journey. I had 3 black labs at one point, all three of them at once, and then Biscotti, who's an Alaskan Husky. And I don't know how I would have functioned without those dogs. They are so good for, crisis management and cold feet and everything else that comes into it. And she also helps me with my diabetes, so that's a really good thing. I also have several friends who helped me a great deal during this journey. Um, my two Kathys, one is here in Castro Valley, and the other one is in Iowa, where I lived for a while, even though I'm a native Californian. And they they do things like, if they know I've got a specific financial need that I can't manage, they just take care of it. They're always there to talk to me. They're always encouraging, and that makes a huge difference. And I also have a miracle friend. Her name is Hannah, and she just graduated from college in New Jersey, and she's starting law school in a couple of weeks. And we built a very close friendship, not just, the once a week phone calls, but we've gotten together 2 or 3 times. She came out this year with a friend of hers to celebrate my birthday. She's great. Her parents are great. And I love having somebody young in my life. She's actually younger than my children, which was a little hard to realize at first, but that doesn't matter. All of a sudden, the hopes that I was having became fulfilled, and a couple of dreams became fulfilled too. All my life, I wanted to live in San Francisco, and I never did. I worked in San Francisco in the 80s, but I never lived here. And now I live here, and I have a great apartment. I'm on the top floor, on the 17th floor, and I have the most amazing view you could imagine. And it's highly subsidized by the city. So what I'm paying for an apartment that goes for a studio, and they go for close to $3,000 a month, and I pay about $200 a month. And that's another gift, another thing that's helped me. Actually, San Francisco has been a place of hope for not just unhoused people, but people with mental health problems, physical health problems for decades. I remember when I worked in the city in the 80s, that was right about the time when our great Governor Reagan, I roll, decided to close all the state mental health facilities. No follow-up given to the people, no appointments set, no suggestions, just so long, suckers. And they kind of, I watched it, it was almost like they were just pouring into San Francisco. And suddenly there were many, many homeless people. And San Francisco has really risen to the challenge and helped people. And dentist care, health care, but the whole mental health issue, the most you can get is 3 days at San Francisco General. That's something where there's a great deal of want. But it won't be that way forever, I hope. I think one of the biggest things about Miracle Messages is that I never felt like I was alone. Alone with a lack of human contact. I was never alone because I had my dogs, which I highly recommend. But knowing that I was never truly alone, that there was somebody that I could make contact with if I was having a really bad day or I needed help figuring something out. Hannah and my other friends filled that bill for me and made a huge difference. And now I'm in a position which I love, and that is that I've been in my apartment for about 3 years now. I'm very well settled, and I'm in a position where I can give hope to other people, thanks to Kevin, and all these great opportunities that he's given me, and the wonderful people that work for this organization. There's just so much that I can do, and doing something like this makes me feel like I've gotten a piece of my normal life back. So it's absolutely incredibly meaningful to me, and I hope I can continue to do this for a long time. So thanks, Kevin. What did you want to ask me?
We're good on time. Can you do 5 more minutes of some questions? So
Yeah, let's do
if we've got questions from the community.
Yeah, I have the chance to talk to Bonnie all the time, so I just wanted to give the audience a chance maybe to ask any questions from Bonnie or Biscotti. So any questions for Bonnie on her story or her program participation?
You can ask me anything. I do not embarrass.
Hello, it's nice to meet you.
Nice
I
to
love
meet
your
you too.
journey. And this kind of goes to both of you, but you focused on it. You have a community of individuals. It doesn't have to be a huge group, but it has to be a group that doesn't abandon you. And I think going back to what you were saying and I wonder what this impact has on people who actually move into homelessness or the resilience that you were talking about by having that community remain intact during these periods of narrowing, right? Where people might go homeless versus not. Does that community keep people from moving over the edge, not just support them if they do?
Over the edge and onto the bridge. It makes a huge difference. When you feel like somebody needs you, you're somebody, you have people to turn to, it makes giving up just about impossible. At least that's how it works for me. So that's a good question.
So I've got a question for you. How did you get connected with Miracle Messages? How did you run in? What was your story in terms of finding this organization?
At one point, because of COVID, I stayed in a couple of shelters, and that's a story for another day and a nice glass of wine. But I was living at the Hotel Whitcomb, which they turned into housing during COVID. And there was a man who worked there, was on the team named Britt, and Britt kind of ran social activities and coordinated a lot of things to make the experience better. And he told me about Miracle Messages. And at that point, they were giving away phones, but I didn't need a phone. I had a phone, but he hooked me up with them. And now I try to tell as many people in positions like him as possible about this organization, because it's been so great, so absolutely great. But he was the one that did that.
So Bonnie, are you a phone buddy for someone else?
No, I have not done that yet.
That's going to be, that's the next step, right?
I think so. I'm not sure what the rules are on that, but right now I'm doing all kinds of fun things.
Yeah, we're keeping Bonnie very occupied. She's part of a group of early reviewers for the workbook that the publisher for When We Walk By has commissioned a follow-on workbook for students, book clubs, schools, civic groups. And so Bonnie and Astara and Taro are meeting with Don and I, my co-author, and we're developing out the 30-day of questions and the curriculum for the workbook. So Bonnie's been, we probably have like 2 or 3 hours every week or two.
Yeah.
Meetings. So
It's really fun. My degree is actually in journalism, and this is the first time I've ever really gotten to practice it, because the first thing I did after college was have babies, and then I started a catering business. So this is really good. It's amazing I still remember how to do this, but I do, and I love it, every minute of it. And Kevin and Don are just such cool people to be around.
Bonnie, thank you so much. This has been just an amazing to hear your story.